Why you keep fixing the same problems over and over again. Think about the last problem you took the time to sort out in your auto repair shop. Now, be honest here. Was that the first time you've sorted that problem out? Or was it the fifth, or the 10th, or the 20th time? Maybe it was the tech who didn't road test the car after they just fixed the brakes, but the car went out again. Maybe it's the customer who didn't get called back again. Or maybe the wages were tight on a Thursday, so you moved some money around to cover it again. Most owners look at that and they think that the answer is to get closer, to stay on top of it, to be across every job, every part, every problem. Personally, themselves, working late nights, doing long days because they think they've got to take a closer look at everything that happens in their auto repair business. Because if you don't catch it, the fear is nobody else will. Now, that feels like being a good owner, being hands on, being focused on what's happening every minute of every day, being across the details so that nothing gets past you. But here's what's actually going on. You're not bad at solving problems, you're brilliant at it, in fact. You've probably got the fastest hands inside the building, and that's exactly why the problem keeps coming back. See, this is never a problem about working harder. You're already working hard enough, right? It's a height problem. The problem in front of you looks like the big thing to solve right now. So you take a swing at it, you fix it for today at least, and then you move on. But the thing that actually needs solving is the thing that's sitting right at the center of the problem. And you probably never zoom in far enough or long enough to reach it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, in a moment, I'm going to draw you a model that shows exactly why the same problems keep landing on your desk, in your lap, and how to make them stop. But before we get into it, we've got a free SOP template. It's the exact tool I'm going to point you to by the end of this episode, so it connects directly to what we're covering today. The link is in the description box below. Don't go and grab it right now. You can come back and get it a little later in the episode. Let me show you this model. Now, this big one on the outside here, right? The problem. That's where you probably spend most of your time in a day living. Um, Sometimes we call it the height of the spanner. What do we mean by that? Well, working at the height of the spanner means you're only ever focused on the job that's in front of you. You know, it's this car, it's this customer, it's this problem that needs to be addressed by you right now, at this moment, today. And I've drawn it big for a reason, because when you're standing right on top of it, looking at that problem that requires your attention in order for it to be solved right now, um, well, it's zoomed all the way out. And you trying to fix that problem actually fills your entire viewpoint. It's almost like nothing else takes your focus. So the problem you've been asked to deal with looks like the entire problem. And ultimately, like most of us, you know, if the thing in front of you, or the thing that's right in front of your face is the thing you need to swing at right now, well, that's what you're going to swing at, right? But watch what happens when we zoom in just a little bit. If we go in past the problem, we actually start to find the pattern. It might be the same problem, but now you're actually seeing it across time. So it's not that, you know, the car didn't get road tested today, right? The pattern shows that, well, cars don't get road tested around here, right? And it's not that, well, money was tight, you know, this Thursday. It's that, well, you know what? We end up that money's tight every single month. So while the incident might be a single dot, when we start to join those dots up, what do we notice? We notice a pattern. Now, if we zoom in all the way to the center, what we discover is that there's a system, right? The root cause. There's a structure underneath the whole thing. And in many cases, that structure is missing, right? The little circle in the middle here, this one, right? This exists for a really big reason. That little circle, this system or lack of the system, that's the reason the pattern exists. And it's the reason the problem, the incident, the issue keeps showing up. And here's the part that really matters. This center circle, system circle, it's the smallest thing on the board, but it's the biggest problem you're not actually solving. Because here's the trap, right? Most owners spend their days out here on problems, right? On the surface, swinging at whatever's screaming for their attention the loudest. Usually one thing at a time. And unfortunately, they're absolutely brilliant at solving the same issue over and over and over again. Now, on the surface, swinging at whatever's screaming for your attention the loudest, is great. But if you never take the time to go and check, well, is there a pattern going on here? Right? Then you never get to the point of going, well, what's the system that's missing here? And by not addressing the root cause, the root issue, by improving, changing, or upgrading the system, that means the pattern keeps reoccurring and the problem keeps resurfacing, well, then the problem just keeps growing back forever, every single day. So we need to spend some time on working out the one system that resolves this pattern, right? That resolves the pattern and actually improves, reduces, removes the entire problem. Because you already know the trap, right? You're going to spend your time out here. You've probably lived it. You've probably fixed the same thing on a Monday that you fixed on the Monday before or the Monday before that. You just haven't stopped to realize that there's a pattern here. Or if you have, you haven't gone one step deeper, zoomed in a little further to go, okay, well, what's the system that needs to be introduced here, right? And maybe you tell yourself that you're hands-on. Maybe you tell yourself that you like to be thorough. But the reality was you weren't being thorough. You just got stuck on the surface here. Now, let me show you how this works on two problems that almost every auto repair shop owner would either know or would be very, very familiar with. One's a team one and one is a cash one. First of all, let's look at the team issue, right? The team problem. First of all, it's this, when I can make this go out. First one is, okay, there was a brake repair job that got done, but the car got released without the tech road testing that vehicle before releasing it to the customer. You catch the issue, the problem. You have a word to the technician about it. You make sure that the road test gets done. In your mind, that's sorted. Reality is that's the spanner, right? That's you've dealt with the problem. You took a swing at the surface issue, and you fixed it for today. But if we zoom in, right, and we ask ourselves a question like, was this the first time that it happened? Well, the answer ends up being no, right? It's actually the third time that it's happened this quarter. So that's not a one-off anymore. That's actually now a pattern. And if we zoom in again, right into the middle, well, what do we notice, right? Why does this pattern exist? Well, because there's no SOP, no standard operating procedure. There's nothing that says we road test every car, every vehicle before handing it back to the customer. It's not automatic. There's no checklist. There's no documented standard. The process you would like to see the tech follow lives in your head, or it's been shared with the technician once, maybe twice. But because it lives in your head, and your head isn't in the bay every time the car goes out, it is just not referred to or reviewed consistently enough. So that's the system you've got, but it's the system that's missing for your technician. So the fix was never have another word with your technician. The fix is an SOP, right? It's a simple written standard of operations that gets followed by every team member on every job for every vehicle, whether you are standing in the bay or in the workshop or not. You build it once and the problem stops landing in your lap. But you've seen you see the movie. You understand how this links, right? What's the problem? Where's the pattern? Okay, well, what's the system we need to have in place here, right? Talking about a team problem. You've seen the move, the problem, the pattern, the system, all the way to the center. I'm going to run you through the cash problem in a second, right? And I'm going to ask you 3 questions as well to think about this, right? But this part here, right, the SOP, that circle right in the middle of this is the one that almost every auto repair shop owner never gets to. They never reach. So we actually made you a free SOP template. It really is a simple fill in the blanks format to help you take the standards that you've got in your head and turn them into something that your team can actually follow without you being around. I'd recommend you download that template and start with the one problem that you keep fixing every single week, and then write the SOP that's going to end that for you. You can pause the video here, open the description box below, click the link, grab the template, then come back and finish this episode with me as well. Let's zoom over now to the cash problem. All right, so what's the cash problem? Well, the problem that you're dealing with is you found yourself in a position this week where you can't cover the wages. It's Thursday. The wages have to come out tomorrow. You've already checked your bank account. Money's looking really tight. Doesn't look like there's going to be enough to go around. So what you do is you probably look at where money might be. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 other accounts. Maybe you've got some money in your savings. So you start shuffling money across from those other areas, or you frantically pick up the phone, chase a couple of outstanding invoices, hoping that you can get paid today. So when your FPOS machine settles, you're going to have enough money just to cover the wages. Right? That's working at the height of the spanner. That's dealing with the problem that lives, that you think is the biggest one to issue or to deal with, right? But you know what? When you actually take a closer look, turns out that this wasn't the first time that money got tight and it was a bit of a scramble to pay the wages. Turns out that the back end of each month actually ends up a bit tight. So the problem today isn't an emergency, it's actually a rhythm, right? It's a routine. There is a pattern that's emerging. But you've just been treating this pattern as if it's a series of surprises, right? Haven't made the link that, oh my God, like 3 out of 4 months, this has been the case. Or, for 6 months this year, we found it really, really hard to pay wages. And if we zoom in like all the way, what we actually discover, when we ask ourselves the question, well, why is it always tight? Well, it's because you don't have a system for allocating your money into the right places before you actually go and spend it. So maybe all of your invoices get paid into the same account that you've got to pay all your suppliers from, right? So everything lands in one account, and you pay everything out of that one account, and ultimately you're left making decisions on how to run the business on whatever's left over in that account each day. Like there's no separation, there's no financial buffer, there's no plan to manage the cash as it flows through your business. And Profit First is the system at the center. It's the missing one. So the fix isn't hustling for one more job this week to plug the hole. It's not dialing like crazy to find the job that hasn't been paid for yet. It's actually implementing a cash management model that means you have the money you need to pay what you need to pay when you need to pay it. Inside the engine room, we install the Profit First cash operating system inside every one of our clients' businesses. That way you set up the Profit First accounts, you allocate the correct amount of money on the day that it comes in into the account that it needs to go in. And on payday, the panic actually stops being a monthly event because you've already allocated the money you need for your team's wages before you ever got the chance to spend it. Right? These are all the same circles as we see up here. But these are how you, whether it's your team problem or your cash problem, it's the same thing. We've got the problem on the outside, the pattern in the middle, and the system that solves it. We've got a system that means you don't get tight cash flow the back end of each month. You're never stuck covering the wages. That's how we operate inside the engine room. Now, this is a writer-downer, right? If the same problem keeps landing in your lap, on your desk, you don't have a problem. You simply have a system that you have not built yet, right? Sit with that for a second. If the same problem keeps landing in your lap, all that's saying to you is you have not built the system to solve that problem yet. So here's 3 questions for you to consider right now, okay? Right now. Number 1. Right. First question. What's one problem you've personally solved more than 3 times this month? Think of the thing that you thought to yourself, my God, I can't believe they're asking me about that again. Or, my God, I can't believe that's happened again. Right? What's the one problem you've personally solved more than 3 times this month? Don't necessarily pick the big dramatic one. Just pick the boring one, the one that happens over and over again. The one that you've said to yourself, oh my God, I can't believe they don't know how to solve this, or I can't believe they've forgotten how I showed them the last time. It would be the one problem you're so familiar with that you may have even stopped noticing that it happens. And that's almost always where the system is hiding. Now, question number 2. When you zoom in on it, right? So when you go past the problem to the pattern, what's the pattern you've been ignoring? like, this is the part of the problem that you finally can admit to yourself that this is not a one-off, right? And think about, like, count back if you need to. How many times has this same problem actually happened? In our experience, the owner who stays stuck is usually telling themselves something like, "Oh, it's just a bit of bad luck, or it doesn't happen that often, or it's just a one-off." But the auto repair shop owner who is committed to creating the systems that allow them to step outside of and away from their business, they say, they're actually measuring it. Like, well, that's the third time that this has shown up. There's a pattern here, right? And we say that wholeheartedly. Like, if there's an issue, well, once is an event, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times is a pattern. When you notice the pattern, you got to put a system in place that addresses that. Because number 3, the question is, well, what's the system at the center of it? What's the root cause? The core thing that would stop the problem from ever becoming a pattern and ever landing in your lap or on your desk, right? And the system to put in place is not more effort. It's not you checking more people's work more frequently. It's not, I'll just have to keep an eye on it. It's a system, it's a checklist, it's an SOP, it's a money rule, it's a standing process, it's an automation on your software. It's something that works whether you're standing in the building or not. And this is exactly what we install for our members' businesses inside the engine room. We don't help owners by telling them to get faster at swinging at all the problems on the surface. We actually help them build systems at the center of their operation so their shop runs on the system, not on the chaos out the front or the team's ability to contact them as the owner. Right, so here's the shift. Small chunks, you're only swinging at if you want to fix the small chunks in your business or fix your business in small chunks, then just keep taking, swings at the problem, right? But if you want to fix your business in big chunks, then go and address the reason that the problem keeps showing up, right? Staying zoomed out feels productive, right? If you're always focusing on the problem, it feels productive. It gives you something to do. But when you zoom in, right? When you zoom in, that's actually what makes you free. You don't need to go working harder on the problem. You just need to zoom into the center of it. Address that. That's the difference. Now, if this episode has you thinking differently about your business and you want to see how we help auto repair shop owners stop fixing the same problems twice or 3 times or 5 times or 10 times, then you can learn more about how we do that by clicking the links in the description below. There's no pressure. You won't suddenly get a phone call from someone you don't know trying to talk you into buying something you don't need. You'll just get a real clear list of instructions and information, so you can decide if now feels like the right time and the engine room might be the right fit for you to get some help with your auto repair business. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the A Grade Auto Repair Shop Show.